Hi guys, today I'm gonna show you probably the most interesting and important part of our tutorial about React.js video chat application. How to let our peers to stream video to each other, and we will also display the video stream of our participants in our React.js app. Drakarys lost half of her feathers because she is now molting. She changes her feathers and she looks a little bit funny, but it's okay. Soon she will be smooth and beautiful as before. What should we do? We should go to our room handler, and here we want to create a list. We could use a database for it, but in this tutorial for now I want to keep it simple. So we will just create a variable that will contain the list of our rooms, and in every room we will save IDs of peers who joined. Here we will create this variable. It will be an object, and we will type it as record. The key will be string, and it will contain an array of strings. Now, when we create a room, we will access this variable. It's a global variable, and save and create a new array for every room. And then when user joins the room, we will add the ID of the user to the room. And now, as you see, we are getting only room ID here, but we need to pass user ID as well. Let's add it here, and let's create an interface for our room. And in this interface we will just move this, because it will be just nicer to have it separated. So now here we, instead of this type, we can just use our interface. And now we should go to our client. Let's run it. And in our client we want to pass peer ID here. Okay, it's in the room page. Here we join the room, but we don't know our peer ID here. So first, let's create a peer. We want to install our Peer.js library and create a peer that will join our server. To do this, let's first run yarn add Peer.js, and we also want to add our library for creating a new unique ID for our peers. So we add it on the client. And in our room context, we will create a state, me, that will represent our current peer. And this variable will be of a type peer. This type is coming from our Peer.js library. Let's import it. And let's import our use state as well. We will create a new ID for the peer. And yeah, let's import our library. So we imported all the necessary libraries, and now in our useEffect hook we will just create a new ID. It will be the unique ID for our peer, and we will create peer. And we set it to our state. Let's add this variable to our context values so we can access our peer from everywhere in our application. And now when we join our room, we can pass not only room ID but peer ID as well. We will get our peer from context, and we can just pass the ID as following. So let's check if our peer exists. If me, then we will join the room, and let's check if it works. We will start new meeting, and yeah, we're passing our room ID and our user ID now. When our user joins, we want to save his ID to this array, so let's do it. And we also want to send to every user that joins the list of the users, and we can just emit a new custom event to our socket. Let's call this event get users, and we will send a room ID here, and we will send our participants, and it will be an array of our IDs of peers. So let's check if it works. Let's go to our room context, and let's listen for this event that we just created on the server. You see we're getting an error here. We need to check if room exists. And only then, if room exists, we will join the room and we'll emit all these events. So now let's check again. We create the room, we join the room, and we're getting our participant list that now contains only one participant, obviously. But if we duplicate our tab and join the same room, okay, we're getting 4 participants because I refreshed the tab a few times. And now even if we close the tab and duplicate again, we increment our amount of connected users, because when we close the tab and disconnect from our server, we do not remove our user from this array. Let's remove users when they disconnect. To do it, after we join the room, we will set event listener for disconnect event. And when our user disconnected, we will console log the warning that user left the room. We will pass peer ID here, and we will leave the room, and here we pass again room ID and peer ID, so we know from which room to remove which peer. And let's create this live room. It will accept again peer ID, room ID.
Let's just use our filter.
We will just filter away our peer and assign a new list of users without the peer who disconnected. And let's also emit the event to our room to notify all members of the room that we removed this user. So we can just remove it on our client as well, to remove it for every user. Let's try again. Let's create a new room, and we have one participant. Now we duplicate and we have two participants, and if I refresh the page, it's still two participants. It doesn't add more than we have. So it works. Now when we implemented the user list on our server, let's pass a video stream from our peer that connected the server to all other peers. First, we're gonna create another state variable here. And the type will be a media stream. How do we get video from our camera of our device? There is a special browser API for it, Navigator Media Devices, so we can use it. In our useEffect hook, we can just write it here. Let's write it in the try catch, just to catch errors if they happen. Navigator Media Devices, and here we just get user media, and we tell that we want both video and audio. And then, as it's asynchronous operation, we use our promise callback, and here we can get a stream, and finally we can assign it to our state variable stream. If we want to see our video here in our room, we have to implement a video player component. So let's do it. And in our video player, we want to get a stream. And we want to pass this stream to our video. Let's create just a normal video HTML video player and add a ref using the React useRef hook. Let's import it. Yeah, let's close the video tag. Our ref will be assigned to the video HTML element. Initially it will be null. In our useEffect hook, every time when we get the stream, we will assign it to our video ref. And yeah, it says that our ref is probably undefined, so let's check if it exists. Okay, so let's add our video player to the page with our room. And here in our useContext hook, we can also get a stream if we pass it, of course. And we did not. Let's pass our stream here. And now we can access our own stream and just pass it to the video player. And let's see, does it work for us? Okay, now it works, but I have to mute it because otherwise it will be some special effects. So now we can see our own video stream. By the way, if you can't access your media stream, check if you allow your browser access your microphone and camera, because if you don't, you will get a permission error here in the console. And so now when we get our media stream, we can send it to other peers. So how peer-to-peer connection works? We need to call every peer that are in our room and to send them a video stream, and they will send their own stream to us, and we will just show them in the grid, in the video grid here in our room. So in our user context, let's create another use effect. And in this use effect, we will check if we have our me variable, means our peer, and stream. If we do not have me, we will just do nothing. And if we do not have our stream, we will also do nothing. And if we have both of them, then we will call every joined user who is joining our room. So let's listen on user joined. So for every new user that is joined, we will create a call, and using our peer object, we will call the user that is joined, and we will pass a stream to him. And for every user that calls us at the same time, we will listen for the call event, and we will answer a call, and we will answer with our own stream. So here we're initiating the call and we're sending our stream, and here we're answering on other peers' call and we're also sending our stream to them. And let's check if we actually emit this event user joined in our index.ts room, in our rooms. I think we don't. So on every user joined to the room, we will not only send all users to this room, we will also send a user joined event to every participant. Let's do it. We will send it to participants in the current room, and then we emit our event and we pass the peer ID of user that joins this room. Now when our users basically call each other in our kind of application, we still can't see the stream of all users. We can only see the stream, our own video. So we need a place where we will store our data of all participants and all their video streams, and we will create a reducer for it. So the next step is to create a store for our application where we will keep our peers and their streams, and we will do it with the help of useReducer hook in React. This hook was inspired by Redux, and if you're familiar with Redux, it will be very easy to understand what is going on there. So basically the logic of useReducer hook is very close to Redux workflow. We have a state that we handle with switch case, and we have actions that we dispatch and they change our state. So let's create a file where we will write our actions first. I will call it peer actions, and we will have two actions for now: add peer and remove peer. Here are types for our actions, and the actions itself will be our action will accept peer ID as a string and stream as a media stream. And it will return an object with the type add peer and payload. And our remove peer action will be almost the same, just without the stream. And now we can just write our reducer. Let's import our actions and create a TypeScript types for our state. It will be a record where the key will be the string and value will be stream. Type for our peer actions, it will be the union type, and remove peer action, that will return only peer ID. And now let's write our peer reducer. State will be peer state and action with the type peer action, and it will return our switch case statement. We will switch action type, and in case if it is add peer, we will return our changed state where we will add a new peer. And for our case where we will have remove peer action, we will just filter our state. We will get rid of the peer we want to remove using the ES6 syntax. And we will return the rest, our state without the peer that we want to remove. And for the default case, we will just return our state without changes. So now when we have our reducer, let's use it in the context. We can do it using the hook, useReducer hook. This hook will return two values, two variables. First one will be our state, let's call it peers, and the second will be dispatch. And in the useReducer call, we pass our peers reducer and the initial state, that is just an empty object. Now we can dispatch our actions. How we're gonna do it? Here, where we call our peer that just joined, we use event listener, and when our peer starts streaming, we just get its stream and we dispatch an action, add peer action, and here we will get peer stream, and we can pass peer ID here and peer stream. And absolutely the same we will have to add here, where we answer to our call stream, where we will answer our call. Just instead of this peer ID, we pass the ID of peer who is calling us, who is initiate the call. So here we initiate the call, our peer, and here we just answer on the call of another peer that initiates it, and we get the ID from the call variable. And now we can just check if our peers have new peers added. Let's console log our peers and let's try to join the room. Okay, we have some issues. Probably some cache. So we can just start our meeting, and you see we have our own stream here, and we have our participants, but our peers are empty. And if we duplicate the tab and we check our peers, if we have them, you can see we have our one peer with a stream. And now we want to show not only our own video, but also video that our participants send to us. How to do it? We will pass peers to our context values, and we will access them on our room page here. And we can just map through our peers through their values. As it's object, we can't map the object, but we can get values as an array of peers and map. Just want to type it. What was our peers type, peer state? Let's export it and we will use it here in our room. So we map for them, and every peer, let's import our type, and for every peer we will return our video player with a peer stream. Seems it's working. Let's check. Yeah, now we have 2 video players, and let's add some styles. From Tailwind CSS we can take these styles for grids. It's in the grid template column section, so we will just use them to create a nice grid with 4 videos in a row. And now we can see them both, and if we duplicate the tab we will see more, but you can see that here we have one video freezes because our peer got disconnected, but the video wasn't deleted from our state. So let's fix it and let's delete it. We have an event that we emit from our server. Let me just close these tabs. So here we emit an event user disconnected when we lose connection with one of our participants. So we can just listen for this event in our room context in use effect, and we will remove our peer using our action that we just created recently. So let's add new function, remove peer. It will accept the peer ID. And we will call an action. We will dispatch it. Was it remove peer or remove peer action? Yeah, it was remove peer action. So we remove peer action, peer ID, and now when we get our users disconnected, it should disappear. Let's check. So we have 2 videos, and if I close second tab, so one of the videos disappears. It works. Great. So now we have a very basic skeleton for our application, and we can improve it and add different functionalities such as screen sharing or text messages, and that's what we will do in the next episode. Thank you very much for watching this video, and if it was interesting and useful for it, please hit the like button, write comment or just subscribe on my channel. Thank you.